Of course, I started twirling at the age of 3, 19 years ago now. 19 years ago this Sunday, it's almost my birthday. But I really started twirling because of my mother. I was born pigeon-toed. I was a pretty uncoordinated kid. My mom will be the first one to tell you I would trip myself over my own feet, and she really did not want me to twirl. She didn't even buy me my own first baton. It was her old duet partner, actually, that purchased me a baton. Probably as a baby. I had my first baton, like out of the womb, basically. But eventually, around the age of 3, I noticed that my mom would go away into this section of our house. We had like a room built on the end of our house where she would teach baton twirling, and she would close the doors. And I hated being away from my mom. So I would say, Dad, why is Mom in there? What are all those loud noises? What's going on? And he said, she's teaching baton twirling. And I said, well, can I do that? Because I want to go in there. And so my mom kind of pawned me off on one of my babysitters and one of her intermediate level students, and who started teaching me the basics. And finally, my mom took me under her own wing once she found out that I was really serious about twirling and that I really wanted to do it and make kind of a career out of it almost. And if it weren't for my mother, for my obsession with getting her attention, I probably wouldn't have twirled at all. I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with baton twirling. I think it goes for any athlete that has a parent as a coach, or that has to really dedicate their life to the sport. Because I missed a lot of normal things like birthday parties and school events and things like that. But I also gained a ton from baton twirling. I've been fortunate to have traveled all over the world, as far away as Japan and Peru. Many countries in Europe, all across the United States. And not only have I traveled to those places, but I've made friends in those places as well. Twirling has given me so many opportunities, probably at the top of the list, receiving a full tuition scholarship for the entirety of my undergrad and for 1 year of my graduate school experience. Why would I want to leave a sport that's given me so much? Not only has it given me so much, but I've been able to give back to the twirling community and to the youth of the Iowa City area. I've been teaching twirling since I got here, and I couldn't imagine where I would be without baton twirling. It's such a part of my life and such a part of me that I couldn't imagine having quit earlier on in my life. My number one moment from competition stemmed from my trip to Osaka, Japan for the WBTF World Championships in 2004. There's many different twirling organizations within the sport of baton, kind of like in boxing, like there's different organizations in that sport too. And this is my first time being involved with this particular organization. And what's different about WBTF from my main organization of MBTA is that the Japanese are involved in baton twirling there. And the Japanese take it very seriously. Baton twirling is a choice in school, just like band or orchestra. They start baton twirling, at age 3 and younger. So they're very, very talented in Japan, and not only are their athletes talented, but they're respected a lot more over there. So when I qualified for the finals, I was a junior at the time. There's a junior and senior age limit, or age levels in that particular organization. On the morning of finals, my mom and I walked in. Only the coaches and the athletes were allowed on the floor. And we got there, I think, at 7 a.m. The competition was to begin at 8:30. And at 8 a.m., all of a sudden, my mom and I heard this click and a whoosh. And all of a sudden, the doors opened, and the spectators were filing in, like running in, saving seats with blankets, freaking out over the sport of baton twirling, which is something I had never experienced before. Granted, now I've experienced it kind of in collegiate twirling, but as in the world of competitive twirling, that was something that was totally new to me. We only had our moms, grandparents, family, friends that would come to our baton competitions, and sometimes not even then. We hardly have any spectators in our arenas, whereas in Japan, people were holding up signs with my name on it. I was only a 14-year-old girl. This was something that was incredible to me, and something that I really hope baton twirling will kind of evolve into in the coming years, stateside or in Europe or anywhere that there's twirling, that they develop the kind of respect that they have for it in Japan. My other most memorable experience actually isn't from competing, but from going over as an ambassador for baton twirling in Trujillo, Peru, my senior year of high school. I was asked by the Lions Club there to come over as, like I said, an ambassador with, I think, maybe 10 other girls. because they don't have baton twirling in Peru. And there we were able to participate in a lot of charity events. We went to orphanages and hospitals and performed there. And probably something that stuck with me the most, it's really stuck with me my whole life since I've been to Peru, was one performance we had in an old folks home, and there was a man sitting in a wheelchair kind of off to the side of where we were performing and speaking, and he was just sobbing hysterically. And one of the girls who twirled with us could speak fluent Spanish, and she said, "Why are you crying?" And he said with this great grin on his face through the tears, "I'm just so much happier now that you all are here." And that, just the fact that doing something that I love so much could bring someone that much joy and give them that much inspiration and happiness just in the hour or two that I was at that old folks home, that was amazing. That was an incredible experience, and that's what I was talking about earlier, being able to give back using baton twirling. That's almost insane to me, just that people love what I do so much and can connect with something that I've always loved doing. My whole life has been a preparation for baton twirling. Starting at a very young age was very helpful for me because now now that I'm older, I don't really have to practice as much as I did when I was younger. It was those weeks spent in the gym for anywhere from an hour and a half to 5 hours a day, depending on whether it was during the school year or in the summer. All of that has gone into my muscle memory and my muscle building and my determination, and just my mom kind of calls it baton radar. So I know where the baton is in the air after I've released it without having to look quite as much. And that's something that those skills have been honed for 19 years now. I'm very lucky that I started at a young age, but when it comes to field preparation, it's really practicing with the band and feeling like you're a member of the Hawkeye marching band, as opposed to individual competition where a lot of the time is spent one-on-one with a coach or by yourself in the gym just drilling trick after trick after trick. Being in the marching band is more of a performance. It's almost more of a cheerleader position than I have ever had in my life. I never did cheerleading. My high school didn't have a marching band, so from the time I was a freshman, I've really been trying to develop my skills to perform to a larger audience. I mean, I have 70,000 people that I have to impress on game days, and you can't be doing little, low, intricate flips like you would be doing in a normal competitive sense. It's more higher aerial tricks and basically just showmanship, and that's something that the drum major has to work on as well. It's just getting yourself to project to the highest stands in Kinnick. Yes and no. I've never had anything all that serious. The year I was 12, that was a World Championship qualification year, and I was devastated with a pulled hamstring. I pulled my hamstring 9 times that summer, mostly because I kept trying to push through it. But that's the thing about me, is that any injury I've had, I've been able to push through it and just say, you know what, I'm going to twirl. I don't care how much it hurts. I'm going to take a couple of leave or wear tape or wear a sleeve or some type of apparatus to allow me to keep doing the things that I want to do. I've broken almost every single one of my fingers. You can see they're gnarly and crooked and going every which way because I just taped them. I don't feel like going to the doctor and having them say, okay, you need to let this rest, you need to splint it or whatever. I do not rest. And so when I came to having a broken foot, I just didn't know what to do with myself. Like having my foot in a cast, I kept trying. I would have dreams at night that I was pointing my foot or that I was competing at nationals, and I would wake up with my foot stretched against the side of my cast because I was just so miserable being off my feet and not being able to move the way that I was used to. Yeah, I was at a regional competition on June 18th. Again, it was a world qualifying year. This year at nationals in July, I was all working towards that, and I'd done all my individual competition that day, and the only thing left was the team competition. And my mom and I had put together an advanced team this year called Crescendo. It was our first year doing that, probably since I was about 5. We haven't had a team in a very long time. And it was our very first time on the floor and our very first time competing together because a lot of the girls are from Ohio, there's some from Maryland, I'm from New York/Iowa, people from all over on this team. I was the captain of the team, and when we went out, I was just trying to get everybody pumped up, ready to go, and we started, and 3 seconds later our music stopped. there was some type of technical difficulty. So as the captain, I had to decide, do we stay on the floor? If we leave, do we get disqualified? What should we do? And the person who was playing the music didn't call us off the floor, so I kept going, and one of our first movements is a lift that I do with a male member of our team, Jeff Maytash. He tosses his baton, and I kind of hop up into his arms. I put my arm around his body, and my legs make this position. Like my right leg was up, my left leg was out behind me. When he sets me down, I'm supposed to catch his baton and throw mine back to him. And I don't know if it was the distraction because of the music or just my ankle was too weak that day, or I don't know what it was, but when I came down, I didn't land on my toes, I didn't roll my ankle, I landed on the side of my ankle, or on the side of my foot, basically crushing my tiny foot under my entire body weight from up in the air. First fracture you get in your foot, it's in an area that does not get very much blood supply, it does not heal quickly, and the success rate for even having surgery on it is not very high. So the fact that I'm on the road to recovery from that is somewhat extraordinary and really exciting for me. I was nervous up until the point when I went in to get my last set of X-rays, thinking he could say, you know, you can't walk for 2 more weeks, or you can't twirl at all, or it'll be, you know, you need to get recasted or something. So it's been a very interesting and not very fun experience since I broke my foot in June. So I actually broke my foot in Pennsylvania. I was in Pittsburgh, so I went there, and they didn't really know quite what was wrong with it. They splinted me. Actually, no, they didn't even split me. They just wrapped me up and sent me home. I went the next day to an orthopedic consultant, basically, and he splinted me and said, you need to go to a surgeon. I'm not positive what's wrong with you. So I went to a surgeon, and he said, well, you're young. I think you might heal. I know it's a bad fracture, but we'll see what happens. So they casted me basically unnecessarily for 3 weeks. It was in a normal cast. Took it off. There was virtually no improvement in my foot whatsoever. And that's when I said, you know, I have Hawk fans to deal with. I have games that I have to twirl at. This is completely necessary. This is my last year. I have a full scholarship. I have to be the golden girl in a couple months. So we decided that he was going to do surgery, and they placed a pin along the side of my foot. It's my 5th metatarsal, so it's right along the edge, and I'm really lucky they did it because when they went in, they found that my fracture was much wider and longer and deeper than they originally thought, because they didn't do a bone scan originally, so they found out it was way worse than they anticipated, and my surgery was supposed to take 3 hours, it was supposed to take a half hour, and it took 3 hours, so it took way longer than they expected. After that, I was casted for 2 more weeks. Then I was put in a boot, still no weight bearing for 2 weeks, and then slowly from there I started putting a little bit more weight on it, and I only started walking with a boot a week ago yesterday. So I've been walking for 8 days now, and I kind of took myself out of the boot at my own decision because it was starting to hurt my ankle and causing more complications. So I'm boot-free today, which is good. My leg is still super small, my foot is still super small, but at least I'm walking, whether it's with a limp or not. But it's right there. It's pretty awesome looking. But yeah, like I said, my right leg is still smaller. My drum major keeps calling it grandma's arm because it flops a little. But I do have more muscle there now. It was pretty sad when it came out of the cast. It was gross and hairy and not something that I thought. I was like, what is this tube on the end of my leg? And I've lovingly nicknamed it Littlefoot, and the band gives him pep talks. Littlefoot, you need to be ready to go. I don't know if you've seen the Land Before Time, but yeah, Littlefoot, that's me now. I'm doing a lot of biking. I still can't do any elliptical or any jogging or anything like that, so I've been doing a lot of biking to warm up, a lot of stretching. My calf will randomly go into spasms just because the muscles aren't used to being used the way they're being used now. My ankle has been giving me trouble. The odd thing is that my foot has not hurt me at all. Not a little bit. My ankle is really the problem. So I'm really rehabbing a part of my body that I already knew how to use prior to breaking my foot. I've been doing a lot of strength exercises, one-legged squats to stretch the outside of my calf and strengthen, get the strength back in my quad. I've done a lot of pool workouts, basically running underwater on an underwater treadmill, and doing a lot of like stepping up, just because my calf doesn't know when to fire correctly. It keeps firing at the wrong time, and I'll get these weird, like, quick movements in my legs, and it's just a slow process moving trying to get rid of my limp, and once my limp is gone, I can start to jog. Once my jog is normal, I can start to jump. Because that's what I'm really excited about, is learning how to jump again. Just as a dancer, not being able to go up on your toes quickly is horrifying. It's absolutely awful. I've been doing muscles to strengthen my glutes because I have this weird dip in my walk because my glutes aren't strong enough right now. So it's just been a lot of strength and stretching and getting back to not being immobilized, because that's what I was for 6-7 weeks this past summer. The band has taken to calling me Weebles, because Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. That's been a good one. I was Das Boot for a while, but I think my favorite is Weebles, just because I do Weeble. It's quite a gimpy walk I have going on. Special plan. I don't want to disclose what the special plan is because it's I'm not positive it's going to happen, but my absolute favorite part about being the Golden Girl is what we call getting ready for the boom in band. And Lou Christ, our announcer, says, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get ready for the boom." And I'm the very first thing in the field. I sprint to the 50, do my big trick, and then I lead the band down the field while the drum major does his traditional back bend. And I will not be able to do that this coming Saturday, or a week and a half from now, Saturday, September 3rd. Won't be able to do it. Probably won't be able to do it at the Iowa State game the following week either. I'm hoping for the third game I'll be able to get out there and run again. But we have a plan. We have a backup plan, so we'll see if that works out. It'll be interesting to see how the crowd reacts, if they're confused at all. But, I mean, it'll be glaring that I have an injury. I'm still, like I said, weebly, and I will be wearing an air caster and an ankle brace, so hopefully the fans will know and understand. So far, everyone's been wonderful. I actually had a guy at the President's Barbecue get down on one knee and hold my hand and tell me that he was in love with me and that I was his hero for being out there with a boot on. So, yeah, the fan reaction has actually been quite great since I've broken my foot. Everyone's been very nice about it. I didn't expect anything less from Hawk fans. I didn't think they were, gonna shun me for having a broken foot. Although I did have a dream that I did run on in a cast, and I had to wear a helmet, and the entire crowd booed me. That was terrifying. But nothing like that has happened, thankfully. Basically anything I do with one baton, which is unfortunate because I spend a lot of my time with one baton. I can't do any jumps, any leaps. Most of the body work I do is running or leaping. That's just what I do. I'm a dancer on top of being a baton twirler, so I've been spending a lot of time doing 2 baton, 3 baton, and 4 baton because I don't have to move as much. I can basically stay stationary. I mean, I can still do kicks, I can still do laybacks. I even found out the other day that I can do a front walkover, which is a kind of gymnastic move because it doesn't use my right foot. I land on my left one. So basically what will be altered is me moving quickly across the field and leaping. I can still do, all my basic twirls. I think something the crowd likes is elbow pops. It's where I pop the baton up off my elbow. I can do that just fine. I could do that sitting in a chair if I wanted to. So I'm very lucky that I have my mom as a coach because she really trained me to twirl and not rely solely on my body. So that I have been thanking my lucky stars and thanking my mother so much for making me the great baton twirler that I am instead of just a dancer holding a baton. Honestly, at this point I don't really know because I didn't know until today that I wouldn't be able to jog, I guess, for the first game. So what I think I'm going to do is, like I said, I have that special entrance planned for pregame, and then after that I'm going to go to my normal positions on the field, but at a slower pace. Pre-game's difficult because it's been the same for so many years, and I have spots that I need to be, but hopefully, the crowd will understand just moving at a slower pace. But when it comes to halftime, our drill for this particular show, there's one corner that's sectioned off for me. One of our grad staff members was showing me, okay, we have this corner for you. It's open the whole time. You don't have to move at all. I mean, I can move a little bit. It's not like I can't walk or anything like that, but I have one spot kind of sectioned off for me, which will stink because I like having, all 4 sides of the stadium being able to watch me twirl, and I'm used to, like you said, weaving in and out through the band, but that's just not going to happen in the first couple games. So we'll get it figured out. I actually learned yesterday. I was at band practice, or kind of on the sidelines, and I was trying to get myself to do high step, which is our traditional pregame marching step, basically high knees, and I found out that I could do that better than I can walk. So that was kind of exciting because that really masks my limp. I can't run, but I can high step, so just shows how long I've been twirling. I guess I've been marching since I was 3, so that may have something to do with it. I'll roll with the punches as they're thrown at me. I feel like the first time I've gotten good news this summer was when they told me my foot was healed. Every other time, I've been kind of expecting the worst because every time it has gotten worse. You know, they said, you don't need surgery. Oh, well, your foot didn't heal, so now you do need surgery. Well, your break was much worse than we thought. Everything was just getting worse and worse and worse, and I feel like I've dealt with things in a very positive manner. I've tried to. I mean, I had to go to nationals and watch all of my friends make the world team. This is my last shot. They're only every 3 years. By the time I'm 24, 3 years from now, I'm hoping that, you know, I have a real job and a real life. And I haven't had the same opportunities I was planning on having this summer, so, you know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I hope that the Hawk fans support me no matter what I look like when I'm twirling. I feel like I've given 150% to this university since I've been here as a freshman, and I will continue to give 150%, whether I'm walking or not. Being the Golden Girl is an honor, and I do not take it lightly. It is something I take very, very seriously, and I will give the absolute best show that I can, whether I have 2 feet or 1. I said to Mr. Cassins, if you have to wheel me out the first game, I will be twirling. I will not be on the sidelines. You cannot keep me off Kinnick field for anything.